Good evening and thanks for trusting MTN. I'm Tim McGonigal. It's school election day across Montana. In our viewing areas, voters deciding the fates of bond and levy issues, as well as choosing who will serve on local school boards. We begin with a highly anticipated vote in Great Falls, where it appears voters have approved a $1.75 million elementary district operational levy. With nearly 20,000 votes counted, the issue was passing by a 55 to 45 margin. If these numbers hold, it would be just the third school levy passed by voters in Great Falls in 12 years. Also from the Electric City, 4 candidates seeking 3 open spots on the school board. These trustee positions are all 3-year terms. Incumbents Jan Cahill and Kim Skornagoski lead the way with 28 and 27% of the vote, respectively. The tight race is for the 3rd spot, where former City Commissioner Bill Bronson leads by about 500 votes over Eric Heinbach. We will continue to monitor and update results on our website. And 5 people are seeking 2 spots on the Helena School Board in the combined elementary and high school district, and it looks like incumbent Luke Muskevich will retain one of those seats. He has 35% of the vote at last count. Jennifer McKee has 22% of the vote. Paul Stahl, Lois Fitzpatrick, and Christina Knoll are the other candidates. And in Broadwater County, the Townsend School Board seeking an $18.8 million bond to build a new elementary school. Now, we're still awaiting results from tonight's vote, but we do know that it right now is too close to call. Last check, 1,040 votes for, 1,038 votes against, so just 2 votes separating that issue. The district leaders say that the building, which was constructed in 1952, has become outdated. If passed, the owner of a $200,000 home would pay an additional $192 per year in property taxes. We will continue to follow this one, of course, and get you the results either on air or online as soon as we get them. Well, the East Helena School District will continue remote learning for the rest of the school year. The school board made the decision tonight at a special meeting. Superintendent Ron Whitmoyer said it was disappointing to have to take this step, but it was best for the health and safety of students and staff. Whitmoyer said leaders waited to make their decision to see if Governor Steve Bullock made any changes to the guidelines around coronavirus. He said they surveyed parents and found many weren't ready for a return to class.
We have a majority of our parents that are very, very fearful of what the consequences would be of us opening school up to business as usual.
The Montana City School Board also voted tonight to extend remote learning to the end of the year. Other school districts, including Great Falls, Helena, Townsend, Lincoln, and Augusta, have already said they won't return to in-person classes this spring. But a small town school is probably the first school to choose to reopen in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, not only in the state of Montana, but nationwide. MTN's Cody Boyer shows us how it's possible.
For most in Willow Creek, they say if you're not looking, you might miss it if you're just passing through. But for Willow Creek Public School, they might be one of the first to reopen in the country amid the pandemic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what we need to do for the parents and for our students.
This is part of a new reality for Superintendent Bonnie Lauer, 18 staff members and only 56 students.
Names are on the desks, ready to roll. We have a lot of working parents. 2 parents are at work all day long, and they've got multiple students sitting at home trying to do their work.
Lauer met with the board. Come May 7th, they decided to leave the option to parents open.
We polled our parents, and 76% of the students will be coming back to school. The parents have a choice to opt out and do the off-site learning.
Lauer says many parents do not have the internet or the resources to do remote learning outside of packets. Being among the first to reopen nationwide, every precaution must be taken.
We're putting all the safety measures that we possibly can into opening.
That includes in the classroom, with 6-foot pool noodles in every classroom and desks already put 6 feet apart. Custodians will clean bathrooms routinely after each use.
The bus will look way different, obviously. The kids won't be allowed to get on the bus till they have their temperature taken. And if they have a 99 or better temperature, they won't come that day.
That's their crayons, their scissors.
Kindergarten teachers like Haley Hurst see reopening as a positive sign.
It's important to see where your kids are going into the next year, and that's what I'm most grateful for as the school opening happens, is just to be able to assess my students.
If you don't know it about kindergarten teachers, it's about being able to say goodbye.
To just say goodbye and get their blankets for nap time. That's so important, such important closure, I feel like.
But Lauer gets it, and she says every precaution is being watched closely.
We have very small numbers, and that's the only reason we can open.
In Willow Creek, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Well, there have been no new confirmed coronavirus cases in Montana since yesterday. The state total remains at 456. Earlier today, Governor Bullock announced the availability of $123 million in emergency grant funding for families, small businesses, and others hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. This first round of emergency grants was funded through the Federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or CARES Act. The funding will be allocated through 9 programs that are designed to address key COVID-19 issues, including emergency housing assistance, reducing social isolation among seniors, small business stabilization, and public health grants. Montana was allocated $1.25 billion in CARES Act funds. That's the federal minimum amount for states. Bullock says the state will use this first round of funding to help determine where the need is most so they can adjust later as funding as needed.
And Montanans have made it clear that we must step in and do everything possible to ensure that small businesses can responsibly reopen, that nonprofits can continue to serve our communities, that homeowners can stay in their homes, and Montanans most in need have access to services.
Beginning Thursday at 8 a.m., people will be able to apply for assistance at covidrelief.mt.gov. After a grant is approved, the state's plan is to send the money as soon as possible. Well, as the state starts to reopen, economic development leaders are hoping to help business owners unsure of what they're going to do next. The Great Falls Development Authority continues to support local economies in the Golden Triangle and beyond through a number of free resources. Those include the Hibernation, Resiliency, and Reopening Toolkits. Business owners can find everything from cash flow spreadsheets to best business practices after reopening. Senior Vice President Jolene Schalper says no matter what phase your business is in, making sure you have a solid financial team in place is key.
And that includes your bankers, your accountants, your insurance agency, your lawyers, and your business advisors like the Small Business Development Center.
Another update from the GFDA. As of Monday, Small Business Administration had reported around $140 billion remaining funds in the Paycheck Protection Program. Schalper says along with PPP, agriculture business owners can apply for the Economic Injury or Disaster Loan or EIDL. Well, as COVID-19 travel restrictions in the state begin to loosen, members of Montana's tourism industry gathered near the Capitol to embrace the spirit of travel during this year's National Tourism and Travel Week. Though travel might not be an option for some in the coming months, Mike Mergenthaler, director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the Helena Chamber of Commerce, said the message they're trying to spread isn't focused on the immediate future of travel, but rather spotlighting travel and tourism across the state and nation when it's safe to do so.
We're celebrating the spirit of travel, and we know that right now it's extremely difficult and almost impossible in many respects for people to be traveling, but we want people to know that once this changes and people are ready to get back out and do some more traveling, that we're here and we're able and willing and ready to accept our tourists again and welcome them to Montana and into our communities.
Well, today's weather was fairly nice. Looking at the forecast, it may very well be the nicest day for quite some time. Brandon Michaels joins us now. Brandon, you're tracking some rain heading our way.
Yeah, by this time tomorrow, we're going to be tracking really widespread moderate to heavy rain across much of north central Montana. We'll take a look at the rain totals that we've seen so far this evening, or really since midnight today. Little tiny bit of rain in Glasgow and Jordan, but mostly zeros across the board. That is going to be looking again very, very different by this time tomorrow. We'll take a look at the actual highs we saw today, getting away from the rain for a moment. Really nice, 63 in Great Falls. Helena actually all the way up to 70 degrees, and it was 72 in Missoula. And we're expecting, at least temperature-wise, a fairly comfortable day tomorrow. I want to touch on this temperature-wise, too. It was pretty chilly to start the day. In fact, we tied a record low temperature in Great Falls. 26 degrees. Helena fell below freezing as well, so did many spots across the board. One of the biggest improvements today, though, the winds. They were not nearly as strong. Most of us under 30 miles per hour for our wind gusts. But again, it's not the temperatures or the winds that we're concerned with going forward. It's the rain that's going to be heading our way, and we're going to have a lot more on that rain later in the show.
All right, thanks a lot, Brandon. Well, in 2019, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued warnings to companies selling the drug Kratom, which is legal in Montana despite having no FDA-approved uses. Several officials in Cascade County, from doctors to judges, have expressed their concern about the drug's presence in the community. The drug is often marketed as a natural alternative to treating depression or anxiety, a way to boost energy and focus, or even in some cases a way to overcome opioid addiction. On Friday, the Cascade County Substance Abuse Prevention Alliance will be delivering letters to every convenience store, gas station, and tobacco store in the county in an attempt to inform them about the risks of selling kratom.
The purpose of what we're doing here is really to educate and make people aware and to form a collaborative effort to address some of the substances that our youth and our other community members are stumbling upon. In a lot of cases, even the retailers we're reaching out to might not be aware of actually what they're selling.
You can learn more about what Cascade County Substance Abuse Prevention Alliance is doing on our website. Well, the Montana Department of Justice released an analysis today breaking down the facts around 3 years of Montana missing persons data. MTN's John Riley has a look at the findings.
The Montana Department of Justice released a breakdown of missing persons from 2017 through 2019. Of the 3,200 unique individuals reported missing, there were no significant difference in gender, but most cases were children and teens.
It's very striking that 81% of the people that go missing in Montana are under the age of 18. When you look at them as a proportion of the state population, they only make up 21.6%. So it's very much skewed towards juveniles.
Data indicated a strong correlation between childhood trauma and missing juveniles. Some 60% of missing person reports represented someone who had gone missing more than once. The state also saw significant growth and accuracy of reports from reservations in recent years. The increase in reports also helped highlight issues faced on Montana reservations. Bighorn County, which is home to both the Crow and Northern Cheyenne reservations, was nearly double per capita the number of missing persons compared to the next highest county. And Indigenous peoples are 4 times more likely to be reported missing. The state says at this point it's too soon to make a definitive conclusion from the data, but it helps inform policy making going forward.
These are just statistics that we've talked about today. They can't tell every individual story, but the Department of Justice did this to help find answers to the most basic questions of not just who is going missing, but why and what can we do about it.
Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Well, going underground might not sound like a bad idea in times like these, and if you're serious, there's a property out there for you. We'll explain after the break.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's News Leader.
Welcome back. Before primary ballots go out to voters this Friday, we're introducing you to the 4 candidates running for an open seat on the Lewis and Clark County Commission. Mike Fossbender is a real estate investor and also restores and sells vehicles. He says he wants to address issues like mental health, substance abuse, and roads. Fossbender is also opposed to the county's plan to implement zoning in the valley. He supports some planning for future growth, but says the current proposal hurts landowners.
My main message, if I get elected, is going to be how can I help? I think that should be all the way from the top to the bottom. All of the county employees should be working for the taxpayers and doing the best we can to help them out. Again, I'll bring that private sector experience to the table with the other 2 commissioners, and I think we can really roll up our sleeves and move the county forward.
This is the first year of nonpartisan primaries for Lewis and Clark County offices. The top 2 finishers will move on to the general election in November. Well, if you're still in the housing market, hunting for a dream home during the COVID-19 pandemic, MTN's Tom Wiley found a place perfectly suited for life in the time of social distancing.
Head north from Dearborn. Travel 30 minutes along an uneven gravel road, past several private property signs, and eventually you'll arrive at 11 High Point Lane. 92 acres currently for sale with an asking price of just under $350,000. In this time of social distancing, everyone's looking to lay claim to a space to call their own. You can do a lot worse than this little slice of heaven right here. The scenery alone is worth the listing price, but it's what's down this hatch and down a ladder 24 feet underground. And what you'll find is one of the more unique properties in the state of Montana.
Well, the owners were looking for a place that was kind of off the beaten path, somewhere where they could build their dream home, have plenty of open space. They also wanted to be prepared in case of any kind of disaster, forest fire, pandemic at this point. They decided to go ahead and build this underground shelter as kind of a place to be in case there was any kind of issue that they felt threatening in the area.
When you think of underground bunkers, you think dark, you think cold, you think barren. But this place is surprisingly livable. 6 beds, satellite TV, 300 DVDs, and as a pandemic special, all the toilet paper you could possibly need.
It's got well water with cisterns. The well's powered by solar battery and generator systems. Yeah, it's all off-grid and it's self-sustaining. There isn't much that you would need for probably about a year.
The structure itself was built by Utah Shelter Systems, transported up the mountain in large trucks and placed underground with a crane. It's the perfect spot for someone who enjoys their privacy and isn't turned off by the idea of subterranean living.
It's a very, very interesting, unique place, and there's certainly lots of wide open skies up here, and I don't think you can see any neighbors that are anywhere close from here.
Tom Wiley, MTN News.
Well, there is an excavated pad on top of the property ready for an above-ground home to be built as well. You can find more info at bigskybrokers.com.
The skies are fairly clear right now, but we've got plenty of rain, even some snow on the way. We'll have the forecast up next.
Thanks. Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Brandon Michaels.
Well, we're going to start off tonight with another nice Montana sunset. Thank you for Betty if we're sending this one in. You can see the high terrain in the background there. Just a gorgeous shot. Probably not going to get a nice sunset like this tomorrow. We do have a nice storm system heading our way that we've got to deal with first. High pressure has been kind of on top of us all day long. Nice weather, that's what we get from that. We don't get nice weather from big areas of low pressure or cold fronts that swing through, and that's exactly what's going to happen as we head into the day tomorrow. That's going to give us quite a bit of shower activity in the forecast. Not too much going on right now. We had a couple of little showers, mainly west of the divide, but that's not going to amount to anything. The main event is still yet to come. It's going to start to push in as we head into the day tomorrow, and let's time that out right now with Future Track. So here's a couple hours in the future, midnight tonight. Nothing really happening. Clear skies expected through the night tonight, even into tomorrow morning. We're going to start the day off with sunshine with a couple of exceptions, mainly down toward the Helena area, most of Lewis and Clark County. You guys are going to be fairly cloudy by the time we get to the afternoon. Those clouds continue to push east, starting to see that moisture push into the state, even maybe around the Rocky Mountain front toward Glacier National Park, seeing some showers into the afternoon hours. We really start to see those pushing off to the east. So mid-afternoon, Helena's getting in on some of that. That's going to kind of quickly overtake the I-15 corridor, continue to push east. You do notice some blue in here too. We are tracking mountain snow on top of the rain showers and even a couple thunderstorms by the early afternoon. Lingering showers through the night tomorrow night and even into the day Thursday. We're going to have a couple of showers still left over. So kind of a long-lived rain event. We're definitely going to be seeing some heavier rain bands setting up with this in addition to the thunderstorms that'll be possible earlier in the day. And at this point, it looks like from about Great Falls, Havre, Lewistown, kind of in between that area. So Choteau County, parts of Ferguson, Blaine counties, that's where we have the potential for the heaviest rain of a half-inch or more. But many spots in that half-an-inch range, a little bit less rain up toward northeast Montana. I think it might possibly push north of Glasgow, but definitely the northeast corner of the state not picking up too much as far as rain is concerned. But we showed you it's not just rain. We're tracking some snow as well. That's going to stay for the most part in the higher elevations. Could have a couple of snowflakes down at the lower elevations, but the accumulating snow, that's going to be above 5 to 5,500 feet, 5 to 10 inches for the little belts, up to 5 inches along parts of the divide. So winter weather advisory again is going to be in effect. As far as temperatures tonight, fairly chilly, 35 in Great Falls, 37 in Helena, and 37 degrees for the overnight low temperature in Hayes. Through the day tomorrow, a decent increase, but we're going to see those temperatures kind of playing off a little bit as we head into the afternoon hours, mainly to the west. That's where the chillier temperatures are going to be. 62 in Helena, 61 in Cutbank, quite a bit more mild off to the east. You guys are actually going to get quite a bit more sunshine through the day as those clouds take a little bit longer to reach you. Winds at times a little bit breezy tomorrow, 10 to 20 miles per hour with some peak wind gusts as high as about 30 miles per hour. Let's go through the 7-day forecast now. Again, rain pretty likely for us in Great Falls tomorrow, even a couple of showers lingering into the day Thursday. Behind the system, quite a bit cooler, almost a 10-degree difference between tomorrow and Thursday. A couple more showers popping up Friday afternoon before sunshine on Saturday, and some additional slight rain chances Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures finishing a little bit cooler too, mainly in the 50s to close out the forecast. Helena 7-day rain, again some thunder will be possible into the afternoon. That rain going to be lingering into the day on Thursday as well. Some afternoon showers redeveloping on Friday, and those additional small chances for rain remain in the forecast for both Sunday and on Monday. Tim?
Thanks, Brandon. In tough times, a Montana conservation organization is helping out. See how they're feeding some hungry Montanans, and the news continues.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's News Leader.
The American Prairie Reserve is donating more than 4,000 pounds of bison meat to the Montana Food Bank Network. They say this is equivalent to more than 12,000 servings. The Montana Food Bank Network is the state's only statewide food bank and will distribute the bison meat to food pantries around Montana. The American Prairie Reserve says the goal was to help fight hunger during a difficult time for Montanans.
Harvesting bison is something that we do on a regular basis to help the health and sustainability of our herd. So it just made sense, and it was a good fit for us to reach out to the Montana Food Bank Network, which has been doing so much for people all around the state.
The American Prairie Reserve is a nonprofit conservation organization in Montana with a wildlife reserve outside of Lewistown. Well, Great Falls business is celebrating a milestone. Porky D's Soup to Go celebrating 5 years in business this week. They specialize in homemade fresh soups, and they're known across the Great Falls area. MTN caught up with the owner today to see how they're doing during this uncertain time. She tells us that they've been fortunate.
It's really nice to see people that when we first opened that are still coming through our little soup shop 5 years later. And we've made some really good friendships, and yeah, it's been really exciting.
Porky D's has been delivering free meals to seniors since before coronavirus restrictions took effect. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Big weather story tomorrow remains the rain that we're tracking. A spring storm going to be moving in. It's not going to be raining all day long. In fact, the first half of the day looks pretty dry, but the afternoon and evening is when that rain starts to push in.
All right, before we go, we want to update you again on these election results. School elections. Great Falls Public School $1.75 million operational levy appears to have passed. 10,000, almost 2,000 votes separating those two, 55% to 45%. We can also tell you that on the Great Falls School Board, Jan Cahill and Kim Skornagasi have won re-election. It appears Bill Bronson will be joining them as well. And on the Helena School Board, Luke Muskevich wins another term. Jennifer McKee will be joining him. The Townsend Elementary School bond still too close to call at last check. 1,040 votes for that, 1,038 votes against. We will continue to try to get these unofficial votes updated as well on the internet and online for Montana this morning as well. But school's out for a lot of kids. I shouldn't say out for kids. They're doing distance
online
learning.
Yeah.
Online learning, but still a lot of headlines happening.
I guess so.
All right. That's all the time we have. Have a great night.